Josh act on Michelle Obama backfired. CEO of UFC White is said to have fired Josh.
I've decided to fire Josh Hokit. The fact that he went on a global live broadcast and started talking nonsense in front of the president and the entire country, to the point that the Paramount Plus production team had to cut the feed and black out the screen for 5 seconds on the spot, already crossed every line possible. In order to make Freedom 250 happen on the White House South Lawn, I personally covered the entire $60 million production cost myself. Because Josh Hokit was assigned by the White House, I couldn't control what came out of his mouth, but that doesn't mean I have to keep tolerating him after the event. Even when the D.C. Athletic Commission caused problems at the last second and announced they would not recognize the official result of the fight, turning Topuria getting destroyed by Gaethje in the 4th round after his coach threw in the towel into a non-record exhibition, I still handled all of it myself. UFC needs fighters with personality who can sell.
Look, I'm trying to be nice to these people. They were lousy presidents, and this one coming is the worst. She makes Obama look like forget it.
There is no way Josh Hokit just said that. In front of everybody watching the UFC White House card, he said that Michelle Obama is a man. This is genuinely insane, and there will never be another fighter like Josh Hokit because this is hilarious.
Josh Hokit is now reportedly begging the Obamas for forgiveness, and the situation just took a dramatic turn. Let me break this down for you. At a recent White House UFC event, Hokit made a deeply disparaging comment about Michelle Obama, and according to reports, Donald Trump was seen smiling right after it was said. The remarks sparked outrage, and now Barack Obama has spoken publicly for the very first time since it happened. Standing right beside Michelle, you could hear the emotion in his voice as he carefully chose every word. He talked about his mother-in-law, about his late father-in-law, Fraser Robinson, who worked hard every single day, about people across the south side of Chicago who do the right thing, raise their families, and treat others with respect. He said this country has fallen victim to the siren song of everything being about money, attention, and fame, while good people doing the right thing go unheard. Now here's where it gets bigger. There are reports and rumors swirling that the Obamas may be pursuing a defamation case against Hokit. And remember, both Michelle and Barack are lawyers. None of that has been confirmed with credible evidence yet, so treat it as unverified for now. What we do know is that Hokit is reportedly trying to broker peace and walk it all back.
Josh Hokit is nothing but a jerk. He did show remarkable skill by finishing veteran Derek Lewis via TKO in the 2nd round, but he had no right to spread vicious, baseless rumors about Michelle Obama lived during his post-fight Octagon interview while riding the hype of his victory. This was not an offhand slip of the tongue. Back in 2025, he posted the exact same slander targeting Michelle Obama on his personal social media accounts. On top of that, he has openly launched malicious attacks against women's basketball player Brittany Griner. We uphold free speech, yet we condemn cheap attention seeking through vulgar, unfounded personal smears. Trump was upset with Hokit's snide remarks about Michelle, and he immediately took off the gold chain Hokit had given him. Meanwhile, commentator Joe Rogan's performance was deeply disappointing. He failed to stop Hokit and even tried to cover up that absurd comment afterward. The UFC's response was even more frustrating. It imposed no fines or suspensions on Hokit. To this day, Hokit has not issued any apology, which is absolutely infuriating. Michelle Obama is an extraordinary woman, and she never deserves such treatment.
The issue for him is, what do you say, he could be a $3 or $4 million a year? Mm-hmm. Cool. If you didn't do these wild antics, could be a $6-7 million a year through endorsements. Nobody's endorsing the guy that says Michelle Obama's a man. Whether they agree with it or not, they want no part of it. Mm-hmm. They want no part of it. All these big sponsors, Monster, Dodge, they're not touching it, dude. Yeah. And now you're there. Be yourself. You can get more endorsement money. They have no choice but to give you big fights. Mm-hmm. It got you here, dude. I'm with it. You beat the system. But now we can see the real Josh. Great athlete, great fighter, good mindset, self-belief like a mother trucker. Be that guy.
That's what I'm saying. Do you think he painted himself too far into the corner now, especially when it comes to corporate sponsors and all that?
The Michelle Obama thing hurt him.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt him for a long time.
I will officially file a defamation lawsuit against Josh Hokit and call on Dana White to fire him immediately. He seriously insulted my wife by standing in front of the entire world and claiming that Michelle is a man. In an apparent attempt to impress a certain drowsy man in attendance, he chose to make a statement that was not only ridiculous, but deeply offensive. It seeks to deny my wife the dignity, legitimacy, and value she has earned as a woman and as a leader. My wife has dedicated her life to education, public health, and youth development. Her work and contributions should not be overshadowed or distorted by baseless personal attacks. As the head of UFC, Dana White must provide an answer for what happened. He must either formally terminate Josh Hokit or hold a press conference demanding that he issue a public apology to Michelle. If neither action is taken, my legal team will pursue every available legal remedy and hold all responsible parties accountable. If someone can spend $60 million putting on a boxing event simply to entertain a particular individual, then I am sure they can also afford the legal costs that come with defending their actions in court.
Shannon Sharpe just went off on Josh Hokit after he claimed Michelle Obama is a man. And honestly, it needed to be said. So here's what happened. UFC fighter Josh Hokit wins the biggest fight of his career at the White House, beats Derek Lewis by TKO, and then instead of celebrating, he grabs the mic and decides to make a comment calling Michelle Obama a man. And Shannon Sharpe was not having it. On his nightcap show, he completely tore into it. First, he pointed out the obvious hypocrisy. There's a whole crowd out there always saying keep politics out of sports, but you're literally holding a UFC fight at the White House. Sports and politics have always been intertwined. He brought up Jesse Owens in Berlin in 1936, Joe Louis knocking out Max Schmeling, Jack Johnson, the whole history of it. But the part that really got him fired up was the disrespect. Shannon said this is the same playbook over and over. Every time a black woman achieves something, someone takes a cheap shot at her. He compared it to what they said about Venus and Serena Williams, and he said what Hokit did wasn't even clever or entertaining. If you want to talk trash like Conor McGregor or Muhammad Ali, talk about the person you're fighting, not go after. In his words, low-hanging fruit that has nothing to do with the fight. He said all Hokit did was perpetuate a tired racial stereotype and ruin what...
Some Americans are saying this guy behaves like his boss, Donald. That they are not surprised.
Well, see, we had to get your opinion on the UFC event that happened at the White House over the weekend.
It was disgraceful and embarrassing, and he should be ashamed of himself for doing it.
Did you hear about the fighter who called Michelle Obama a man?
Yes, and that's exactly what Trump is, and that's exactly what his fans are: racist, homophobic, un-American.
Can you give advice to parents who are dealing with children who might be in a similar situation to your daughter?
Just do your best and love them.
We appreciate you, Rosie. Thank you so much. Ciao.
Trump refuses to condemn attack on Michelle Obama. I'm sure Donald Trump supports this act.
Sarah, why is it so hard for Trump to say that this was wrong when it was obviously offensive and wrong, and people who may share his politics are very clearly saying such?
I think expecting Trump to say or do the right thing is useless and disappointing. Look, this is the guy who posted a racist meme of the Obamas depicted as monkeys. This is a guy who posts memes depicting himself as Jesus Christ. There's no decency or decorum in this White House. And when the White House was asked for comment, they also praised the performer, praised the performance of the fighter. They didn't comment on it. They had every opportunity to condemn it. And yes, it's nice hearing folks like Dave Portnoy and Dana White come out and denounce this attack. But it shouldn't take a pressure campaign from people on the right to get the president to do the right thing. You should immediately condemn something like this. Something really interesting, though, is that we have seen Trump willing to condemn conspiracy theories like this. He did it with President Macron of France and his first lady, his wife, when she faced similar accusations of being a man. Candace Owens saying it. President Trump came out and said that that wasn't true and condemned it. But then he can't do the same thing for Michelle Obama. Makes you wonder what's the difference between those two women in his eyes. Think that it is really pathetic of this administration, and it's really pathetic of that White House spokesperson. As a former deputy press secretary myself, I would be embarrassed to have my name on a remark like that, praising the performance of the fighter. I mean, come on, it's pathetic. She has not been in office, or her husband has not been in office, and she has not been the first lady for nearly a decade, and yet she continues to live rent-free in these losers' heads.
But remember, he did it on Joe Biden. Josh mocked Joe Biden. Let us watch this video.
The Incredible Hulk says he's gonna put Derek to sleep, like Sleepy Joe. But I like Derek Lewis, and I just want to apologize for ruining the press conference last time. And I like Taporia too. I like Pereira. Those are my favorite fighters. And so I just want to apologize for all of that. Yeah, I'm nervous right now. It's just regular Josh today. Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me, Dana. I'm trying to keep the Incredible Hulk from not coming out, and so I'm doing my best. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve.
Anytime, buddy.
And he's been positive to the real Josh all week, and so I want to give him credit for that. And Steve's been training hard. He's been waiting for his opportunity, and he's finally got it. And he has a tough opponent with Diego Lopez, and it's going to be a good matchup. But I think Steve, he'll be too much for him.
Fallout for President Trump after he posted a racist video depicting the Obamas as apes. Even Republicans calling on him to apologize, but he remains defiant. Senior political correspondent Rachel Scott is at the White House. Good morning, Rachel.
George, good morning to you. And this was a blatantly racist post. After 12 hours and a bit of firestorm of criticism, the president took down the post, but he says he will not apologize. This morning, days after posting a blatantly racist depiction of former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama as apes, President Trump says he will not apologize.
A number of Republicans are calling on you to apologize for that post. Is that something you're going to do?
No, I didn't make a mistake.
He told reporters on Air Force One he condemns the imagery. Our Fritz Farrow asking what his message is to Americans who are offended.
Well, I have no message. I didn't know about it, so I mean, it went up. I really have no message.
The White House initially defended the post, calling the criticism fake outrage. But the backlash only grew. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, the Senate's only black Republican, calling the president's post the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House. Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi writing, "This is totally unacceptable." The video was originally posted at 11:44 p.m. on Thursday. The president deleted it 12 hours later. After initially defending the post, the administration then put out a new statement telling ABC News a White House staffer erroneously made the post. The president, who is ultimately responsible for his social media account, claimed he didn't watch the video until the end.
I looked at it, I saw it, and I just looked at the first part.
Over on Capitol Hill, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle demanding an apology.
He definitively needs to apologize. It was a disgusting video.
I think sometimes in our public discourse, it is best to just say, I'm sorry.
The post is just the latest in a long history of offensive comments made by the president. For years, he falsely claimed President Barack Obama wasn't born in the United States, and also questioned the racial identity of his former rival, former Vice President Kamala Harris. The White House has not said who the staffer is or whether they will face.
And a black woman who spent 8 years in that house with more dignity than anyone on that lawn could dream of, being mocked with applause. I didn't watch the White House cage fight match last night. I made that choice deliberately because I refused to give one click of credibility to a president who spent what DC officials now say amounted to $90 million in public security costs across the entire weekend. They called it a birthday party and then had the nerve to dress it up as a celebration for our country. Our country's anniversary is July 4th. That is more than 3 weeks away. This was on June 14th, which we all know happens to be the Mango Mussolini's 80th birthday. The White House claimed that no taxpayer dollars were used outside of normal duties. Normal duties, my ass. A Super Bowl level federal security designation, every DC officer on a 12-hour shift, and Secret Service on full activation. That's our tax dollars dressed up in red, white, and blue, and you damn well know it. The day before the fights, Josh Hokit showed up to the weigh-ins, apparently drunk off of his ass, covered in something that looked like applesauce, and said on a public stage that I have a giant black man that wants to knock me out. That was at a White House event tied to America's 250th birthday, and nobody stopped the show there. Then that same guy Hokit won his fight, walked over and presented the Mango Mussolini with a chain, grabbed Joe Rogan's microphone, thanked Jesus, and screamed, "Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America?" And this is not a one-time stunt. He said the same thing about Brittany Griner after a win in January. He has publicly called himself 100% transphobic. This is his brand. Now zoom out, because believe it or not, it gets worse. Trump purchased stock in the UFC's parent company just weeks after this fight card was announced. No corruption there, I suppose. Meanwhile, fighters didn't walk out from an arena tunnel. They walked through the White House itself. The main event fighters came through the Oval Office, an 80-foot structure called the Claw, hung over the cage with Bud Light as a sponsor, Mark Zuckerberg, who had front row seats, and only 16% of Americans said that they even supported holding the fights there at all. Y'all strip away the flags and the flyovers, and what you had was cruelty as entertainment, corruption as patriotism, and a black woman who spent 8 years in that house with more dignity than anyone on that lawn could dream of, being mocked with applause. And Trump fell asleep. Again. Y'all, this is racism, this is transphobia, this is misogyny, and it has got to end. Are we done yet?
I don't know why MAGA are so obsessed with Michelle Obama.
Why are MAGA so obsessed with Michelle Obama? The answer is pretty obvious, I think, to most of us, that MAGA is a movement which is predominantly white male with a low level of intelligence, a lack of education, and a complete deficit of critical thinking skills. And so studies show that men who fall into this sort of category of being deeply inadequate and having low intelligence are very aggressive and resentful towards women, and especially global majority women, because they represent everything that these individuals are not. Global majority women have had to deal with the kinds of adversity that these men have no idea of. And so they see that level of courage. But with somebody like Michelle Obama, who has achieved a level of success, she's highly intelligent, she's also very strong. That combination is absolutely terrifying to MAGA. It makes them pee their pants. And that was obvious from the ridiculous spectacle that was laid on at the White House, which was a combination of a sort of sad authoritarian birthday party meets emperor trying to distract the masses from a war which is really completely pointless and draining the resources at home. So the point remains that that kind of slur about a woman who has contributed and has made a difference in a lot of ways, which kind of are completely incomparable to the people who were at the White House last night. For her name to be degraded like that, that says a huge amount about where American politics is right now. And that should not be minimized. Whilst Michelle Obama is incredibly strong and intelligent and successful, she's still a person who has feelings and deserves a level of not just respect, but kindness. And that is something that this administration is absolutely bereft in, because they are inadequate, so deeply inadequate. And we see it, and we won't minimize it, and we will keep calling it out, and we will show our support to the strong, capable women like Michelle Obama, because their time is coming where this authoritarian circus is going to end. And I think they know it.
I'm not going to talk any smack because I might bring too much pressure on myself to perform well. They're not trusting themselves. What's real to me is I'm having fun. The Incredible Hulk. Anybody can get it. If you don't like it, beat me in a fight.
But after the fight, he says, while Joe Rogan is holding the microphone, Michelle Obama is a man. And a lot of people were stunned by this, shocked by this. Other people felt as though it should have been condemned right away, which it should have. You have President Trump sitting right there. You got Dana White sitting right there. And you've got Joe Rogan holding the microphone. He doesn't say anything either. Now, after this, a lot of people have come out and said, how dare he do that? Me included. That's not the time and place. If you're celebrating the unity of the United States of America, if you're celebrating 250 years, if that's the kind of disrespect and vitriol you're going to bring to the table, that's disgusting. That's repulsive behavior. And he has since come out today and said, hey, I'm not here to make any friends. Obviously, he wants clicks. He wants views. And the White House did not directly comment on this. They just said he had a great fight. But Dana White, who is the leader of the UFC, did come out and say this is nonsense, which it is. But here's what the story should be. This guy wrestled in high school, phenomenal athlete, phenomenal wrestler. Then he walks on at Fresno State to the football team. He's already wrestling at Fresno State, All-American. Walks onto the football team, makes the football team. Tremendous player. Then he goes and makes the roster for the San Francisco 49ers. So think about this. Imagine if this happened to a kid in the Central Texas area. You're talking local high school, UT Austin. You wrestle, you play football, and then you're going to go play for the Dallas Cowboys. Isn't that a great story? Shouldn't that be the story? But instead, because of this attention economy and because of what we've been rewarding these people for clicks and views, Josh Hokit comes out and says something as disgusting as Michelle Obama is a man. It's really a shame.
Josh Hokit wrapped up his post-fight speech by saying, Michelle Obama's a man, and honestly, that's why I love the UFC. In every other sport, they think their coaches and their family. UFC fighters get handed a microphone, and suddenly you're wondering if somebody slipped espresso into their water bottle. You never know what you're about to hear, and that's half the entertainment. Follow me, your belt squeaks when you walk.
Are you for real?
Alex Pereira, I want a shama on your mama.
And this has gotten a lot of well-deserved attention and a bad kind of attention. Josh Hokit, however you pronounce that guy's name, the UFC fighter who decided to disparage Michelle Obama. Now, to state the obvious, it is disgusting. It is racist. It's repulsive. It's like, how could you say that about a former first lady? It is also, and it should be seen this way, absolutely freaking pathetic. And it's also pathetic that Donald Trump did not disavow these comments. Is it surprising? No, it's absolutely not surprising. Of course it's not surprising. This is a president who depicted the former president and his wife as monkeys not that long ago, okay? Of course he's not going to disavow them. Even Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports, not exactly a card-holding liberal, thinks he should disavow it, right? But of course he's not going to, because if he disavows it, if he tells his people it's not acceptable, then what does it mean? It elevates people who are better than him. And the Obamas are definitely better than him. And you know what I'm sure is driving him absolutely freaking crazy right now? That the Obama Library is going to open on Thursday. And between that and the parade for the Knicks, that is going to take up all the oxygen, all positive vibes around that thing. Mayor Mamdani is going to get lots of press. Barack Obama is going to get lots of press. And guess who's little sad guy who barely has an Iran deal? It's not even a deal, Donald Trump. But here's the thing. The man still lives in his own version of an alternate universe. So despite all of this, I thought it was quite telling what he said to the president of France. I just got to play it for you.
Then we had a really exciting, I think maybe one of the most incredible evenings in the history of the White House. We had an evening last night with the fighters, and I was very happy. I called last night, very late last night, to congratulate you, because in the heavyweight division, a French fighter won. I don't know, is that maybe more important than the World Cup? To some people it might be. To some people it might be. You have a good team in the World Cup.
Could you see President of France there? Like, no, it's not freaking more important than the World Cup. Some weird fight you had on your South Lawn. The World Cup is enormous, including in France, and they have a good team. So no, Donald Trump, I don't think anyone would say that the spectacle you put on for your birthday on the South Lawn is more important than the World Cup, which most Americans, including my entire household, are obsessed with right now.
He mocked Michelle Obama on live TV, grinning like it was just another ratings stunt. And hours later, an $800 million lawsuit dropped like a gavel from the sky. The town hall in Dallas was quiet at first. Bright lights, a teacher asking about civility, a simple question. Does respect still matter? Trump smirked, turned the answer into a jab, mimicked her voice, belittled her accomplishments, and the room inhaled all at once. Across the country, the clip rocketed through feeds. Some laughed, most didn't. In Martha's Vineyard, Barack and Michelle watched in silence. It's not about me, he said. It's about what it means if that goes unanswered. By morning, Obama's counsel stood on courthouse steps, an $800 million defamation suit. This isn't politics. It's accountability inside the West Wing. Papers flew, apologize. Never. Streets filled with signs that said, respect is strength. In court, Obama's team kept it simple. Power used to humiliate in front of millions causes real harm. The defense yelled free speech. Witnesses testified he'd been warned to avoid personal attacks and chose them anyway. Mid-trial, the two crossed in a hallway. You think this makes you noble? Trump sneered. No, Obama said, calm as a closed door, just responsible. Verdict day hit like thunder without sound. Judge Eleanor Sykes. The remarks were personal and intentionally degrading. Presidential immunity does not apply judgment for Barack Obama. Damages, $800 million. The gasp rolled across the room, a fist hit the table, cameras clicked. Obama shook his lawyer's hand and walked out. No gloat, no victory lap, just a line for the microphones. This was about respect. That night, the conversation shifted from money to meaning. News anchors called it the day words had consequences. Teachers played the clip to talk about dignity. Pastors preached humility. Murals of Michelle went up with 3 words: respect has weight. Weeks later, asked if anything truly changed, Obama smiled. Change starts when silence ends. Leadership isn't volume. It's choosing restraint when a crowd would reward the opposite. Outrage trends. Dignity lasts. And in a country addicted to noise, the loudest statement turned out to be accountability delivered quietly, then kept.
Josh Hokit was the perfect representation of this whole fiasco. First at the weigh-in, he came out, staggered out, and while standing there, looked like vomit trickling from his mouth. And he said something about, I've been drinking. Who wouldn't? Now they're saying that that was a joke, that wasn't real. Who would think that's a joke? Who would think that's funny? Them. And then after his bout that he won, first he thanked his Lord and Savior, of course. And then he said that Michelle Obama was a man. You know, the old bullshit MAGA thing. I think even Joe Rogan didn't know what to do. But there you go. There was a perfect representation of this whole fiasco. Are these people Americans? Yeah. Every family has members you're embarrassed of. A creepy uncle, a cousin that smells like beer and regrets. They just put our embarrassing ones out there for the world to see. So to the world, this is not a representation of the citizens of this country. And now Trump's announced he's going to have a rally for July 4th. A rally. At another monument. Oh, God. So trashy and corrupt.
Good morning, folks. How y'all doing today? Whew. Who else stayed up like you didn't have to be at work this morning and watch that UFC Freedom 250? If you watched it, I just got one question for you. Did y'all see what Josh Hokit said at the end of his fight? At his fight interview? That dude, I don't know if you like him or hate him. I think the dude's a little weird. He's a damn good fighter, though. And I was sad to see Derek go down like that. But that dude, man, all I kept thinking was, bro, you gonna be gone by the end of this week, man. Oh, my goodness. Let me know what you thought about what he said.
I cannot physically imagine using the biggest publicity moment of my career, because mind you, he never set foot on an NFL field in a regular season game, okay? And he's 28 years old, which is a hard 28, might I add. I thought this dude was like 39, 40. Using your biggest publicity moment to bash a woman? Like, you just won your big UFC Patriot fight on the White House lawn. And you're like, you're going to get on the mic, and what's the first thing you say? Yeah, Michelle Obama's a man. Okay. The fuck?
I mean, just the most reprehensible crap I've ever heard on a stage like that.
Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America?
You know, we could dismiss it and say, you know, this is only one guy. And in fact, Dana White has condemned what that fighter said about Michelle Obama. But I think it's the fact that these sort of events, this manosphere, which is marshaled by Joe Rogan and other podcasters, it's normalized this sort of rhetoric. And actually, Dan Bongino, who used to be part of Donald Trump's administration, well-known podcaster, he was asked about it as he was walking away from the UFC event, and he said, "Oh, it's funny. It's a bit of a laugh." Well, it's not a bit of a laugh, because there are teenage boys mostly watching this at home, hearing that and thinking that it's okay. And the fact that this is part of America's 250th birthday celebration is a little bit sickening, to be honest.
Yeah, it's normalizing and it's emboldening the very worst of American society, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the White House had the opportunity in the aftermath to condemn what this fighter said. Instead, we've had stone cold silence from them, and that speaks volumes. He could have drawn a line underneath it in the same way that he could have drawn a line underneath it after he accidentally, apparently, posted that video which depicted Michelle and Barack Obama as apes, but instead he let that pass. He could have distanced himself from that comment, but he chose not to. A very deliberate choice.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blast.